Shalom. All praises to Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahushua, Ba'Shem Harakakadash, the blessings to the apostles and elders, great millstone that rule well. Shalom to the brothers doing the work of sharing truth. Yeah, over here in the UK, it's funny because like the last uh month and a half, like no wait, longer than that, like 2 months, 2 months and change, because yeah, it's February now. You've had like just strikes, mainly the trains have been striking. But today you basically had just like everything shut down to to a greater extent, and that's kind of been the sentiment because there was it's funny because even I was at work and like the way the previous like the surprisingly January normally quiet was busy, so the company's doing making good money. But like compared to the days we were having previously, we made like maybe 40-50% of how much we were making like on the same time for like the last 2-3 weeks. And it's like that with and that's the same with all businesses in the area. Well, let's just say all the businesses in basically in London, there would have been a significant drop off because why there's hella people that can't even get into the city. Hella people stay working from home. They might have to stay home with their kids. It's all basically just bringing the economy to a screeching halt, and it's peak because because these guys have been what you call it, man. They've they've been getting shafted for their guap, for their money, for their wonga. Um, and you know they're like, yo, it's time to pay up. But Rishi ain't paid up, so it's continued on for hella time, and it's getting to that breaking point where it's really being felt. So when it first started, people like, yeah, I kind of feel them, blah blah blah. The what the hell they called the rail workers and whatnot, because they had pay freezes and shit. But now people are like, look, man, it's getting tiring. You just want to be able to fucking be able to do what you need to do, which is funny because hey, that's how peak it is. That's how peak it is. It's all kinds of fucked up. So this is on UK Daily News. This is Britain grinds to a halt as 500,000 workers go on strike. A long-standing dispute over wages and working conditions came to head on Wednesday as hundreds of thousands of British workers took part in what organisers said was the biggest day of industrial action in over a decade. Around 500,000 workers joined the day of mass action. Teachers, train drivers, university lecturers, bus drivers, civil servants, and airport workers marched out. Not even all of them as well. I think it would have just been certain portions of them that would have partaken. For the train drivers, it's a bit stricter though. But for the other ones, less so. The major discontent comes amid rampant inflation and years of stagnant wage growth, putting further pressure on Britain's long-ruling Conservative government, which is grappling with a cost of living crisis. Downing Street warned Brits the strike will cause significant disruption. Thousands of schools have closed. Around 85% of schools in England and Wales are said to be affected, and most trains in England have stopped running. Now, said Britain's nurses on strike over pay, testing the healthcare system in crisis. Yeah, going to the hospital, it's like these hey, the nurses in the hospital, they ain't even looking to engage with people. You gotta ask someone like, sorry, I meant, I'm trying to visit my nan. They ain't even gonna be. They gonna be like, yeah, you just talk to this guy. They're checked out because they got some long ass shifts. It's like one girl I work with, she's a nurse, like with kids, And it's like the hours that she does, like she's forever exhausted. And I'm like, damn. They really, people getting fried out here. But it's all like building up to essentially what's gonna be what? The fucking hell. What is that? It's all building up to essentially bring, that chaos, that crisis to a head, to its apex, essentially. Where people are gonna be done, man. People are gonna be toast. And hey, there's especially because if a further crisis comes or a breaking point level of crisis where it's just like, life, being able to live life is going to significantly be affected. There's even further, if inflation keeps on trucking and there's even further increases in prices of things, it's going to get peak. People are going to be all kinds of jacked up because they might have what do you call it, man? The way they're what do you call it? The balance of their life as it stands might just about be a thing where they're kind of just barely making it. A lot of people have been rinsing food banks, and it's like even food banks ain't even got as much food as before because they rely on donations. It's peak. People that would have been just getting by on like food banks and how much they make and whatnot, maybe some government assistance, who get to the point where they're like, okay, I can't even pay this energy bill, or they got too much debt from having to get debt to cover off, living expenses and what. So they're getting shafted. And shit will, hit the fan royally. And this, these strikes, and the fact that they've been going on, it's almost on the level of, them gilet, whatever it was, man, the yellow vest youths in France, where them men were just going out and rocking cops, lobbing rocks and all kinds of madness at coppers, for hours every night, every day, man. Man were coming out committed with a yellow vest on, looking to fuck man up non-stop. Hey, so that what do you call it? That these extremes, everyone's feeling it, man. Let's skip down a bit. So it said Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has introduced a law mandating a minimum service level that allows employers to enforce basic services during strikes in areas such as health, railways, education, fire, and border security. Yeah, because even firefighters were striking. So it's like, bro, your house is on fire. These men could just, you could be burned into a crisp. Actually, funny enough, one guy I know said his nan fucking burnt her flat down. So she ain't even there. And then one of his other neighbors fucking burnt his fucking apartment down. And I wasn't even thinking of it in that context, but then after that, man, worse, I was striking now, so it might have another Grenfell. And Grenfell was a madness. But yeah, that's what it's really hitting an extreme over here. People are getting, irate, people are getting aggy. That's why, there new laws where it's like what minimum service level. That's because previously that one needed previously because man would strike for like 1 or 2 days. Man would say, okay, we're gonna give you an extra 25p an hour, and then man would go back to work. But now it's obviously like the way price of things have gone up, man, and continue to go up, man. A bottle of water, like buying it from fucking Marks and Sparks, I was paying 40p before, like for like 3-4 years, and then the shit went up to 45, then 50 in the space like 3-4 months went up to 50, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, and then 70, and now 75. Like it's gone up non-stop, and that's most products over here. So people are feeling the burn. That's why men are out here striking. So, it's gonna come to a head. Read this. Ecclesiastes 2. So like Ecclesiastes 12:2, it says, "While the sun or the light or the moon or the stars be not darkened, nor the clouds return after the rain, in the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few, and those that look out of the windows be darkened." Well, I start from 1. So I said, "Remember now thy Creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not, nor the years draw nigh." Yeah, the evil days are literally in the midst, man. That's why men are out here striking, because as far as them, well, it's hitting extreme. It's too much for these men. They're like, yo, how am I even meant to live? They might have been saving for a new place, trying to go on holiday or whatever, and then now that money's just being used so they can pay for their petrol and get to work, and keep heating going on the house, so their kids and maybe grandma staying over or something don't freeze to death, man, and drop dead. Says, "When thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them, while the sun or the light or the moon or the stars be not darkened, nor the clouds return after the rain." Yeah, so the understanding ain't darkened. But now it's a time. Now everyone's in a state of confusion, because why? They ain't got no clue as to why these things are occurring. They're in the midst. They're thinking like everything's been running good. Looking back, everyone, that American dream was looking hella sweet. Like, what the fuck happened? In the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few, and those that look out the window be darkened. Yeah? Grinders are gonna cease because they're few, man. That money making, that merchandise, these things that have basically made the West, get to the scale, to the heights it has. That's all coming, grinding to a screeching halt. And it's hella noticeable. When there's a strike on, it's a night and day. Night and day. But yeah, it's a quick one, man. Shalom. Leave it there. Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Bashem Yahushua Bashem Harakakdash. Shalom.